Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So good morning. Welcome to another market open stream. And there are a couple of important things to talk about. First of all, Bank of England makes another emergency move, another pivot. So what is that all about? Also, other banks are making moves as well. Plus, Cardano leader Charles Hoskinson says he's completely done with XRP. What does that mean exactly? What is going to happen to the people's currency? Let's discuss. Thanks for tuning in. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com and make sure you follow my other channels as well. All right, guys. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So looking at we have 4 minutes until the bell rings. Right now, futures market is pretty dead even. Dow barely down. S&P, NASDAQ barely down. Looks like yesterday, kind of the same thing. The market didn't do so well. I'm guessing there's still pretty low volume. Yesterday, obviously, was Columbus Day. A lot of people were off on vacation today. Maybe they're coming back or they're still off. But we'll see what happens. But we do have some news that we have to discuss. First of all, Bank of England, for those of you guys in the UK, you may be worried about your pension because that's exactly what's happening. Pensions are in dire free fall. A lot of them are actually in the UK because bond markets are in a free fall. And that is why the Bank of England is intervening once again. The Chancellor, it's funny. I guess I'm not used to these terms, but Lord Chancellor, he said that, you know what, they're extending their buying. They have to keep buying bonds. So this was announced a few weeks ago already. It was supposed to be concluded, but because of the instability of the bond market, or gilts, I should say, in UK, they will continue to keep buying and buying and buying and buying to try to prop up the market. The reason why they have to do this is because there are so many that are still unsure where the money is going to come from due to all these tax cuts. These announced tax cuts, that means they need to get money from somewhere else. They haven't announced where they're going to get the money from, and that's why people are selling off bonds. They're like, well, we need to know. We need to know. And because so many pension funds are tied to these gilts, pension funds risk of going under, losing it all. That's why the Chancellor is like, okay, we need to do something. We're going to start buying up bonds, like a ton of bonds. But again, the question remains, where's the money coming from? If they can't answer where the money is coming from in terms of how to supplement these tax cuts, where's the money coming from to buy these bonds? Thin air. The money printing machine has to get jump started, turned on once again, because that's probably where it's coming from, right? So you're in a vicious cycle. You're in a vicious loop where you have to intervene, but again, there's no money there to do this. So what can you do? Well, luckily, if you are in control of your own currency, you can just spin up the printer and print a little more. But then it leads to inflation and it leads to other dire things that you don't want. So it's just like a vicious cycle. So anyways, starting out with that news, of course, that's not good. That's not good overall. The UK pound also has not done much recovery against the dollar. Looking at the DXY is unfortunately climbing up again. That is... DXY is climbing to 113. It was just at like 110 not too long ago. So unfortunately, because of all the fear around the world, currencies losing strength against the dollar again, DXY is still climbing up, right? So leading off with that, not good news from overseas. But that's not the only thing we need to worry about. Just last night, I cover this story. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon says that the U.S. is likely to tip into recession in 6 to 9 months, and he's saying this is serious. And I argue that we're already in recession, but I think what he's meaning that recession will get worse, that the U.S. economy will suffer, and this is all due to what the Fed here is doing with its rate hikes, right? So there's still a lot of fear over this as well, even though we may be in a better position than, say, the UK and other countries currently. But everyone is kind of like, I don't know, trying to figure it out, kind of figuring it out as we go, because we're in an unprecedented time and no one really knows what the hell's going on, it seems like. The IMF came out today saying that the global growth forecast for next year will be the worst. The worst is yet to come, according to IMF. IMF is not happy. Is not happy about the Fed, not happy about UK, not happy about any country that keeps raising their rates. Same thing with the UN. Because they believe that a global recession is coming, and that is one that is very, very, very bad, especially for developing countries that can't simply just turn on the money printer and print more because they're already suffering from hyperinflation, and they don't have more bonds to sell. So developing countries will get the worst blunt of the impact, I guess. So to speak. So that's why IMF is so concerned about it. Again, I guess we'll see if this actually happens. Many people do think it's going to happen, but that's why so many people also is turning to Bitcoin, right? I've been covering this. So many are turning to Bitcoin because what else are you going to do? You know, like I said, this vicious circle where all these countries are out of money, and then they have to shore up stability somehow by buying more bonds and or printing more money and all this stuff. Like, well, what else are you gonna do, right? It's all built on a house of cards, basically, and they're all operating like Ponzi schemes. So what can you do? Well, you get into Bitcoin. That's what you can do. So BNY Mellon, I talked about banks. At the intro, BNY Mellon, which is the largest custodian for I guess of all the banks. I didn't know that. But anyways, they're going to start offering crypto custody service. Not that any of us would want to put our crypto in BNY Mellon. Everyone in crypto should be safeguarding their own crypto and storing their own crypto. But I guess if you're a large institution and you want to buy crypto, you don't want to store it yourself, well, then this is an option, right? But there are still a lot of banks that's jumping in because they also kind of know what's going on. At least their analysts do. That's why so many have turned so bullish on Bitcoin over this last year, despite the price going down. It's because they also recognize there's a lot of broken financial systems out there. So there's that. What else is happening? Well, this is an interesting chart. It's hard to recognize, but this is comparing 2018 bear market with us right now, but it's inverted. Okay, so this is inverted. So even though it shows that things are coming down, actually just showing that things are coming up. So if you look at it, this one trader is making an argument that we are this fractal pattern, this pattern that we're in right now is very similar to the previous one that we saw in 2018. And if it holds true, well, the next leg down where you see here is actually the next leg up, which is something that we could experience pretty soon, especially with so many things going on right now. Even some of the big boys of Wall Street, like Paul Tudor Jones, said that he believes it's time that Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? It's time for both of these to shine. He believes they will shine after this post-recession, and he's still a big believer, and still stocking up. So many people that have developed laser eyes, they know what's up. They know what's up. All right. What else is there? Bitcoin's volatility has dropped to the lowest since December 2020. So that's no surprise. Basically, all the retail investors left. And who's left in the market? The long-term holders. So that's really not a surprise, but it's good to know. Good to know. And I also saw this, which is pretty good. Google partnered with Coinbase, so they're going to accept crypto payments for cloud services. So this is pretty good. We know Google has been partnering up with a lot of crypto companies, mostly because they just want to provide cloud services, really, if you think about it. But now that Google has officially come out and they released a press statement saying that they have partnered up with Coinbase and will be accepting crypto payments for services, I think that's pretty big. That's huge. This is no longer just offering cloud storage or cloud compute. This is actually accepting crypto. And who knows if they expand to Google Pay or the apps, the Google App Store, are they going to start accepting crypto? Could. So this is absolutely big. So good to see that. And Coinbase, Coinbase has been struggling recently. Their stock has been hit hard. Very, very, very hard. It would have been a much better decision to buy Bitcoin versus Coinbase stock in hindsight, if you look at it. But I kind of said that too. I mean, that Wall Street just keeps hammering on Coinbase. But this is very good news for them. And also, they beat out Binance and lands regulatory approval in Singapore. So they're like the only crypto company that got this. So I guess that's really good for them too. So they're not just a US based exchange. They are trying to grow their presence overseas as well, which is good for them. Good for them. And then lastly, I got to talk about this. Charles of Cardano wants nothing to do with XRP anymore. So supposedly, see, this is why I say about what I say about Twitter. Twitter does no one good. All it does is enable trolls to just keep constantly attacking people, right? This is why I'm off Twitter. I'm like, nothing good comes from being on Twitter. And Charles is experiencing that for firsthand. I mean, Charles has been on Twitter for quite some time. He had a lot of trolls attack him, but he announced that he has blocked most of the XRP trolls out there because he believes that they are provoking him for no good reason, right? And he was actually an XRP fan. He was actually an ally. And now they have turned the ally into someone to, quote, disgusted and totally checked out. And someone else tried to calm him down, saying, hey, the XRP community is still friends of the ADA community. And he's like, no. It's endless harassment campaigns for days. I'm done with it. I want nothing more to do with XRP. The community has accomplished nothing by harming itself. Congratulations. See, this is what happens, right? You have bag holders. I complain about this all the time. You have bag holders that think they have to bash everyone else to pump their own bags, although that doesn't help at all. But it's so tribal out there. So I guess that's the reason. XRP Army, at least some, thinks that by bashing Cardano, it's going to help pump XRP. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. But yeah, I'm surprised to see Charles lose his cool like this. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm surprised because Charles has lost his cool quite a lot in the past. But this right now, it just seems like he's done. He's feeling the pressure. So no more XRP Army for him. Yeah, there's that. That's it. All right, guys. Looking at the market, still barely clinging on to red. Minus 83 for Dow. NASDAQ down a little bit more, about down 1%. Yesterday was down about 1%. So there's still more tech sell-off at this point. Unfortunately for Bitcoin, kind of following. Bitcoin actually had a little momentum this morning up to 19.2. Now it's back to 19. 19.1, but overall Bitcoin still has been holding right around here, the 18-19 mark, still finding its footing here, so that's good. And then as for the entire market cap, it's actually up a little bit from yesterday. Yesterday was actually pretty bad for alts, but it's up slightly today, so we'll take that. That's a win. All right, let's do some Q&A. He is uninformed. Stuart says he's uninformed, blames XRP community for what is, in fact, SEC staff corruption. He is so wrong. According to the article, that's actually what he believes in. He doesn't believe that SEC is unjustified, but he does believe that SEC is power hungry, and that's why they're going after Ripple and going after pretty much everyone. Right? That's how I interpret it, but maybe whatever. I don't know. I'm rooting for Ripple. I want them to win, like I said. I think they are going to win. The SEC is going to drag their feet as long as they can to delay the outcome, but they will win. Ripple will win, and that's going to be good for an entire industry because we don't want SEC to overstep. We don't want Gary Gensler to have even more power. That is something no one is wanting. All right, I'm scrolling down here. Stuart Rodney asked something about a G detector bot. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. Let's see here. XRP Dave, George, talk about third generation technology on the blockchain, my guy. Well, since your name is XRP Dave, I would argue that the people's currency, XRP, is probably third generation technology. I don't know what you're talking about. Third generation blockchains? I mean, it's hard to determine what's a second generation and what's third generation. You could make the argument, I guess, like Bitcoin's first generation, Ethereum's second generation, and everything else that already can do smart contracts and can scale is third generation. So I would argue third generation is already out. Probably fourth generation and fifth generation is when you get worldwide adoption, where most of the dApps that you use, I would say, I take it back. Most of the apps that people use on their phones are really dApps residing on a blockchain, but people don't even know, right? So I think fourth, fifth generation are the ones that we're looking forward to. Third is probably out already. Vincent asks, do you reckon that POW stands a chance in the future on the back of regulations and maybe feasible distribution method, or is mining truly dead forever and POW a legacy technology? Vincent, you're talking like as if Bitcoin isn't proof of work. Bitcoin will stay proof of work forever, so it's not a legacy technology. It's a current technology that is still, according to some, the greatest way to secure a network. Even though you may argue that it takes a whole bunch of electricity to validate and to process the transactions, but it also makes it very secure. Because for a hacker to be able to get enough bandwidth and hash power to try to attack and hack Bitcoin is so high that basically it can't be done. That is why Bitcoin's network is so strong. So yes, Proof of work will definitely stay. Now, I think the real question is proof of stake going to stay? Well, that's something that we're still trying to figure out right now, or at least when I say we, the SEC and all these agencies, what they're trying to figure out. Lazaro, do I still hold Harmony? No, I don't. I lost faith in them. I've said before many times I lost faith in them because of the big hack and because their biggest project, DeFi Kingdoms, is moving away. So I don't know how they're going to recover. I'm more neutral on them now. I hope they can. But, you know, they haven't given any good proposal on how they're going to recover from that. Their previous stance was they're going to just mint out all these coins. Obviously, no one wanted that. Now they said they're going to use their treasury to just simply get more dApps. You know, I don't know. Neasley Goodfell. George, you called XRP holders conspiracy theorists. Do some research. You sound like a puppet. See, again, if you edit that statement saying do your research or do some research or you're ill-informed of the situation, that sounds fine. But when you add in you sound like a puppet, see, that's where it triggers people. That's why Charles is so triggered and why I want to just trigger and ban you off the chat. Because, you know, there are certain things that you say that goes beyond than, okay, you should do more research. It becomes hateful. And again, you're proving the point for Charles by becoming a troll. So don't do it, man. If you want people to learn about XRP, then say it. Do it in a good way. But if you go do it in a trollish and hateful way, no one's going to take you seriously and they're just going to think that you're a hater, right? So cool your jets, man. Take a chill pill. CPI data Thursday. Yeah. I'm hoping, excuse me. I'm really hoping that inflation goes down, although no promises. No one knows. Last month, core inflation unexpectedly went up. Will it happen again? I hope not. Commodity prices have been falling. So I know CPI looks at a lot of stuff. Looks at commodities, food. It looks at housing. Looks at a whole bunch of stuff. And they have been coming down slightly. So we could get a surprise reading where core inflation didn't go up for last month. And that would be really good. That would send markets skyrocketing upwards. So, I mean, we'll see. PayPal tanking. I cover PayPal. PayPal just they shot themselves not only one foot, but they basically shot themselves in both feet, and their hands and close to their head by implementing that or trying to implement that rule to fine people $2,500 based on misinformation. Who are they? Who are they to say what's misinformation? And who are they to just automatically fine people? That is so ridiculous. And somehow the leaders at PayPal thought that they could get away with it, and then they had to backtrack because of all the negative press. That is just insane. But again, another reason why we need something better like Bitcoin and decentralization. Come on, can I spell here? PayPal's down. Yeah, they should be down like they're still 100 billion company. They should be down like 30% today because what they announced was just utterly ridiculous. Even their prior CEO, Davis Marcus, came out and said he couldn't believe it. Buck Moon Saloon, Genesis blocked in London Times, 2009. Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. Okay, thanks for sharing. I have no doubt. A lot of banks have been bailed out over the last few years, decades, I should say. Banks are declared too big to fail at this point. And when the banks get bailed out, guess what? There's more money printing. That's how they bail out the banks. And it's not just England. US did it. Back in 2008, 800 billion, I'm sorry, which at the time was just like crazy amount. 800 billion, was going to the banks. And in the last 4 years, we went into the trillions, 4 to 6, I think it's 6 trillion. Now we're printing trillions like it's nothing. So that's how times have changed. Is Google Coinbase partnership going to save them? I don't know. I don't know. I hope so. It's a step in the right direction. So let's just put it that way. When do you think DXY will turn around? Well, DXY is not going to turn around for quite some time. Not until currencies around the world get better. And right now, I don't know what they can do to get better because it just seems to be getting worse for them. The pound didn't really gain. They're like 111. Euros at 0.97. And others are just as bad. So DXY is not going to go down until we get some bad. And economic news also affects it. These are economy numbers, the economic data that we've been getting about like unemployment and jobless claims and payrolls and new hires. They're all good. That's why DXY goes up, because it's showing the strength of the economy is good. But unfortunately, it crashes markets because then people think more rate hikes are coming. It shouldn't be like that, guys. It shouldn't be like that. Good economic data should mean that it's good. The economy is good. And we're faring pretty well despite all the macro conditions, right? But Powell is going down the step of trying to make everyone poor to try to curb demand. Even Cathie Wood, I covered this yesterday. Cathie Wood thinks that we're going to be heading into depression and deflation because of what the Fed is doing. Many people are concerned that you can't just continue to hammer on demand and make people broke thinking that it's going to solve all issues. And I agree. Tactics, thanks for sticking with us. I'm out of dip money now. Should I have bought in the dip yesterday? Well, it's not like we really moved from yesterday to today. We went up like 100 points. So I think if you missed out yesterday, it's fine. Today is still another day. And Bitcoin might be hovering here for a little bit, although I'm still clinging on to hope that November, December will be better months. And traditionally speaking, we have seen some really, really, really good upward movement in November, December, but it can start in October. But man, there's just a lot of bad news going on. It's hard to get past the headwinds. It's like you're going against, Category 5 tornado with a Category 5 hurricane right behind it. That's what Bitcoin's facing right now. There's just so much downward pressure and so much fear, so much going on. That's why Bitcoin can't really seem to get a footing and move upwards. But despite all of it, we are still hovering here, which is still way higher than, let's say, just even 2 years ago. Dan, on a serious note, what happens if the pound does collapse? Oh, I don't know. That's something I cannot answer. I'm not smart enough to answer that, but I will say nothing good will come of it. Maybe UK, goes back to Euro standard. It's not that it's going to help them. Euro's not looking good. I don't know. I don't think the pound can collapse. Honestly, it's been around for how many hundreds of years? I think something else will happen. I don't know what. But yeah, it won't be good. It won't be good. And people's savings and pensions will all be wiped out. And that is why the Bank of England is so worried about the bond market or gilt market. And that's why they're intervening. But again, this is why I argue more people should look into Bitcoin. And more people have. Because you want to get away from what these financial institutions and what these banks and governments are doing. It's really unsustainable. Matter, if the economy stays good for the next decade, what will happen to Bitcoin? Well, good things will happen to Bitcoin. Bitcoin will go and do its usual things and find a bottom, continue upwards, form a new high, pull back a little bit, and then rinse and repeat. I'll keep doing it. Category, is there a category 6 or are you just making that up? George, does it make it harder to manipulate the price down of Bitcoin and people are still holding at 40, 56? Yeah. Every cycle, Bitcoin finds a higher low because of that reason. Because more people that have come into this space now truly understand, continue to hold on no matter what, and continue to DCA. That's why you get more and more people. Let me take that back. That's why the price is higher, because you have more and more people doing that. So yeah. So eventually, once we form the next top, and it could be at what, 200,000, let's say, 150, 200, 250,000. Once we form that next top, and then let's say we come back down again, our next low could be at the previous high, could be at 70,000. And then we get all depressed about Bitcoin being at 70,000, right? And it'll seem silly because right now we're at 20,000, but it's the same thing. I've lived through 2017, even 2020. You don't have to go back to 2017, but even 2020, right? I've lived through Bitcoin hovering around 3 to 4 or 5,000, and it was depressing then. But then if you compare that to, let's say, when Bitcoin couldn't break 1,000, right? And then you compare that to when Bitcoin couldn't break 200, it's always like that. So the next top, wherever it may be, 150, 200, 250 or more, will probably come down again, will retrace, but that whatever that bottom is that forms will be way higher than it is now, and it's due to the holders. More and more people are coming into space, understanding, they're buying, they're holding. It's really that simple. All right. As bad as things are, Coinbase is still higher than when Cathie Wood sold. Yeah, and I bet if you track what she bought, because she sold Coinbase, I think in the 40s, right? And she bought like Spotify, I believe. I think she bought Spotify, and I think Spotify has been absolutely hammered way more than even Coinbase. Come on. Well, I want to go in there. Spotify's down almost 6% today, but you go back 3 months. Yeah, this is probably when Cathie Wood bought them. No, probably. I don't know if she bought it at the top, but you could see Spotify in the last 3 months went from 120 down to 81, so pretty sizable drop. Coinbase, I don't know, hasn't done well either, but I think she sold Coinbase at 40s. I remember that. So she sold, or maybe it was the 50s. I forget when she sold. Coinbase definitely, even though has not been doing that well, it definitely been doing better than Spotify. So yeah, Cathie Wood's track record recently, within the last year or two, has not been good. And I was poking fun of her, saying, why would you sell Coinbase at its low, right, to buy Spotify? Anyways. Oh, Shopify. I'm sorry. Shopify, not Spotify. Shopify. Yeah, Shopify. I get the two confused. Let's see if Shopify did any better. Yeah, no. Yeah, Shopify did much worse. Look at this headline right here. New 52-week low today. Yeah, no, that's not good. So whatever Cathie Wood bought is way lower than before. Let's see the date. It was July 28th, July 29th, right? And it was announced that she bought Shopify after. So July 29th was right around here. So Shopify, depending on if she bought it on 29th, would be 34, or she bought it on the 1st, would be 37. But let's just give her the benefit of the doubt and say she bought it at 34. 34 down to 25. That's a pretty steep drop. What is that? That's like 30%? Yeah, that's like 30%. So she lost out on 30%. And then what was Coinbase at? Coinbase on the 29th was at 62. And it's at 66 right now. So, again, this proves sometimes you don't want to outsmart the market. Had she held on her Coinbase shares, she would actually be up today from July. But because she decided that it was smarter to sell Coinbase and bought Shopify, she turned that into like a negative 30% trade. So this is why sometimes you don't want to trade or try to outsmart the market, because you might end up just hurting yourself more, because that's exactly what Cathie Wood did with this Coinbase trade. And she did another trade too. I think she sold Block for something also. Yeah, anyways. Switch to Bitcoin. Jan, I'm going to put you in timeout for saying that. It's not dumping. It went down a little bit, but it's not dumping. Like I said, 1819 is where Bitcoin has been hovering for quite some time. Let's see. The market's turn. Yeah, NASDAQ is down about 1.7%. There is a great correlation between tech right now and Bitcoin. And it's not a surprise. It's funny here. Here's the thing. I don't really watch what other people say, but I did tune into this one show recently where the guys were making this statement, and it wasn't just one, it was two people that was making correlation that Bitcoin is not correlated with the stock market right now. It has nothing to do with what's going on in a macro scale. It has to do with the fact that it's just part of the cycle. And I'm like, there's no way they could believe that. There's no way. Because you see the correlation day to day. When you see Powell say something bad, Bitcoin drops, right? There is a huge correlation. And why is there a huge correlation? Because, unfortunately, the Wall Street guys, the institutions, and the traders that got in, they see Bitcoin simply as a trade. They don't see it as an investment. They don't see it as a store of value. They don't see it as a gold replacement. They see it as a risk-on trade, just like tech. So whenever tech sells off, they sell off Bitcoin. So they're just doing what they have been doing for quite a long time. But again, they're trying to gain short-term profits while investors gain long-term profits. And those long-term profits greatly outweigh short-term trades. So that's how I kind of look at it. That's why there's this correlation. But again, as more people come into this space, as more people HODL and DCA, and there's less and less supply out there, every cycle we're going to see Bitcoin form a new high, even a new lower high too, even when things come down. Do you see a correlation between BTC and gold over last year? Not really. Gold is definitely a lot more stable. It's down. It's a lot more stable than Bitcoin, but that's because it never really went up. That's the thing. Gold is a horrible trade, horrible hold. Unfortunately, it's just no longer a store of value. And it's not a hedge against inflation. If it was, it would have moved within the last 10 years. And it's not a safe haven anymore either because no one is turning to gold. If they were, gold would be pumping up right now. With the DXY going up, you would figure, if the DXY is going up, you would figure gold would go up with it because there's uncertainty and people are selling off risk on assets. But gold is not going up. That's the thing. So this proves, this right here, this correction that we're in, 2020, 2021, 2022 proves once and for all that gold is no longer a safe haven. Investors are not turning to gold when there's uncertainty in the markets. This proves it. So for me, it's just like I would never buy gold other than a gold watch or gold jewelry or gold ring, but I would not buy gold as investment. Dalton Young. No, I didn't say crypto decoupled. When did I say that? I say there's a correlation with tech because institutions and traders trade it, but I didn't say it decoupled. I'm saying that eventually it will. Eventually people will learn about how money works once their money has inflated to nothing or once they've been broken by the Fed, then they will learn about Bitcoin and turn to Bitcoin. But it's too early for that decoupling. Bitcoin has to be 10 times higher to even have a chance of decoupling from the markets. So again, I don't know where you got that from, where you're just hearing what you're trying, I don't know, you're selective hearing, I guess. NMCT, does the USTC 150 pump has anything to do with the Luna community intent to save it? I have no idea, and I really don't care, NMCT. And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't look at stuff like that because you're not going to gain from it by FOMOing into it. Did you ever find out who holds the multi-sig to Luna Classic? Seriously, who's in charge of that project? I have no idea. People in the chat or the Luna Classic lunatics claim that somehow new developers have that multi-sig signature. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. They actually have the keys, or Do Kwon and Terraform Labs still have the keys. I don't know because it's lost hope. People are clinging on to hope, thinking that it's somehow going to burn away trillions and it's going to be saved. It's lost hope at this point. Is it possible for whales to buy BTC at OTC market and sell on exchanges, drop the price, and rinse and repeat? Yeah, of course. I think that's been happening. But you risk that the OTC market dries up, and you can't do it. You can't rinse and repeat. So that's the thing. You could take a gamble, and I'm sure many whales have done so. But when you want to buy back, you might have to buy back at a higher price. So keep in mind, there's not just one whale. There's many whales. Whales could be eating whales too. One might be shorting and another one may be buying and going long. So there's a lot of games that's being played right now. But yeah, technically they could. If someone attacked BTC with quantum computers, yeah, I would say that's not a concern right now. If quantum computers ever got so good, they can hack anything. Okay, they could hack the stock market. They could hack banks. They could hack the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department. So don't worry about BTC being hacked, because there's much worse things. They could hack nuclear codes. There's much worse things that they could hack if quantum computers actually got to that point. But, you know, we're not. We're not there yet. All right, guys. All right. Well, today covered a couple of important news. Bank of England is intervening, emergency bond buying once again. Of course, this is because people are not, they don't have faith in, they don't have faith in what England or UK is going to do. They don't have faith in terms of how they're going to come up with money to supplement the tax cuts. And it's not just them. Around the world, we're seeing the same thing. People are losing faith. That's why I think we need to stay with Bitcoin. Why I'm staying with Bitcoin, because once you learn about what's really happening, it'll frighten you. And you want something better. And really, that's Bitcoin. All right. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.